What do you have in common with luminaries like Michelle Obama, Gloria Stefan, Octavia Spencer, Gloria Steinem, Rigoberta Menchutum, Misty Copeland, and more? You, my love, are a human being. And you also are going to be less than 1 degree of separation from all of those people after you listen to this podcast, because I have their personal brand photographer. Yes, all of those people have Flor Blake in common, and now you will too. I'm talking with Flor today all about worthiness and self-love and some of the confidence building strategies you need to elevate yourself to the level where you are having conversations with luminaries like those and others. If you're looking for tangible tips on how to step into your fullest potential while being real about all the pitfalls, dips, and trips along the road, then, my friend, this episode is for you. All right, let's go.
Welcome to the Flourishing Entrepreneur Podcast with Alea Harris. If you're looking for actionable ways to stand out from the crowd by standing in your power, you've come to the right place. Each week, we help you and your fellow empire-building entrepreneurs become radically authentic and tap into your unique story to attract your ideal clients. Listen in and learn how to use energy alignment techniques and tried and true marketing strategies to transform from a leader to a legend. And now, your host, Powerhouse Story Brand Certified Guide, award-winning marketer, bioenergetic business coach, and Japanese whiskey lover, Alea Harris.
Flor Blake is a celebrity, commercial, and personal branding photographer with a style consisting of creative, bold, and dynamic imagery. Flor knows everybody is gorgeous and is on a mission to help you connect and embrace with your inner badass to conquer your world. I've already talked about all of the amazing people that she has photographed, and you should really go to her website, florblakephoto.com, to be able to check out some of their portraits. But in addition to that, she's worked with huge companies like Shane Company, the Wall Street Journal, Planned Parenthood of the Rocky Mountains, the City of Denver, New York Women in Film and Television, and on and on. Flor's work has been seen in Forbes, the Wall Street Journal, BuzzFeed, et cetera, et cetera. But most of all, for me, having conversations with Flor, I know her as a contagious ambassador for self-love, confidence, diversity, and inclusion, who wants you to celebrate your existence at every age, every weight, because you are worthy. Hi, Flor. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Flourishing Entrepreneur Podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks you so much for having me.
Of course, we connected and we had some great conversations. I was like, we got to record this because you, my friend, not only are a hoot, you're hilarious, but you also have a varied experience that most people do not. If you guys are not on her website and stalking her, which I don't understand why you're not already, I told you in the intro that she was fabulous and that's what you should do. But if you're hard-headed and you're not, let me describe to you some of the first images that you see. There are icons that she's worked with, from Gloria Stefan to Michelle Obama, all of these amazing people. Tell us a little bit in maybe like 1 to 2 minutes about your journey to get to that level that you're on.
Well, thank you so much for that. Now I'm like, my head's not gonna fit through the door now, but I like it. I'll take it. So, I've been working as a photographer for about 14 years, 16 years if you take into account the time that it took me to actually start asking for money doing this. I start charging in 2009, so I guess 14 years. It's been a very beautiful journey. I kept my full-time job as I was building my business. So during my time working in my full-time job, I got to meet a lot of people. I worked at a community foundation, and they do fundraisers, they do luncheons, and I worked in communications, and I was a multimedia specialist. So I did everything from graphic design, video, and photography. So because I did so much photography, I was at events everywhere, and I got to I worked there for 13 years. So I got to work with a ton of people that then left and became CEOs and became VPs in other places. And the great thing about I guess my particularity is that I love developing my relationships and keeping in touch with people because I'm an extrovert, and I'm like, let's go have lunch. So because of that, and I also know what I'm doing with the camera. Every time that they got an important person coming into Denver, or I also I also lived in New York, and I worked in PR there. So the people that I worked in New York with also contacted me, and this is how I've developed this portfolio of these remarkable people, because you develop your relationships, and then people remember you, and then they call you in when the time is right. And it's been really fabulous. I got to meet our former First Lady, Michelle Obama, and I always say, yes, I'm married and I have a beautiful wedding ring, but my most precious possession is definitely my picture with Mrs. Michelle Obama. Don't tell my wife. Don't tell my wife.
I was like, does your wife know this? Is that picture of you and Michelle hanging over your bed?
Yeah.
We
are in the middle of a remodel now, and I'm like, we need to have a wall with us, with people. And my wife goes, oh yeah, we can have a wall of friends. And I'm like, yeah, that's not what I had in mind. I'm like,
you're like, no, important people, not friends. Oh my God.
They're not my friends. I love you, everybody. You're amazing. But yeah, so it was amazing. And she's as kind as you can imagine. And the same thing happened when I got to meet Gloria Stefan. She was a hoot. She was incredible. She was ready. And that happened because like I mentioned, I work with in New York in public relations, and I kept in touch with this friend, and she is in the board of the New York Women in Film and Television. And I pitched them. I'm like, we should do a portrait studio because these women are incredible, and we can do and then I all of this is really exciting. And she's like, I'm pretty sure that we can pitch that and see if that happens. And so that she pitched the idea to the president. And the next year I was there setting up and got to meet all of these incredible women that you see on my website. And that's how it happens, right? So obviously I send out promotions, I do all of the things that we all do, but that's how that worked out.
So I'm hearing relationship building was key, and not just when people a lot of times think relationship building, they think networking. I'm going to call you. We're going to sit down for a coffee chat for 30 minutes once, and all of a sudden you're now in my network. And it's really not that. It's long-term networking, long-term relationships, checking in, being consistent, and that's super important. But then I've had this moment as well. When you work with your first celebrity, second celebrity, third celebrity, right? You sit there and there has to be something within you that tells you, I can do this. I got this. Even though they are VIPs, they are just people. There's still the P part of that title. And you can't be intimidated by your own rise to fame, the level that you find yourself on, whether you knew you were going to be there or not. So what have you done to combat any limiting beliefs that you might have had that rose up when someone told you, oh, by the way, you're going to be photographing Michelle Obama, or by the way, SJP, Sarah Jessica Parker, is about to step into your studio, right? Did you have any limiting beliefs? And if you did, what did you use to overcome them so that they didn't get in the way of you being Flor Blake.
I love that. First of all, I am Flor Blake, right? So, so absolutely. So one of the biggest limiting beliefs is, that artists have, and I'm not exempt. It's the imposter syndrome, right? So we are constantly battling our inner critic, like, oh, you're not good enough. Like, what are they going to say? And for those, so I do two things, everybody should go to therapy. I'm a big, everybody should go to therapy. So I'm a big advocate for mental health and like get your mind right, so then you can get your like the rest of your health in check. So there's that, and I also do meditations. Right now, I'm in the middle of a 21-day abundance meditation of Deepak Chopra. I have my affirmations.
Oh my God, I've done that meditation like 3 or 4 times. Well, it's not even a meditation. It's like a meditation and like you have to do activities.
Yes. Oh yeah. He tells you.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, he gives you homework for the day, and then you go and you're like, notice the environment, like be grateful for everything around you. Notice the things that you actually have. And so those are amazing. And also,
and it's free, by the way. If you're listening, I'll put it in the show notes because I love you, my dear listener. But it's free. If you Google Deepak Chopra 21-day abundance meditation or something like that, you'll find it. Anyways, do continue.
So absolutely. So I do my meditations and I do my affirmations. I have a favorite folder of affirmations that I have on my phone. 1 and 2, I also like for fellow artists that are in this situation. I have a folder of my favorite pictures that I've ever taken on my phone. And so let's say that if the imposter syndrome attacks like right before, like 30 minutes before I get a celebrity into my door, I go and look at those pictures and I say, you got this. Like, look what you've done before. You're amazing. I love yourself, like trust your talent. You can do this. Cause I'm not going to lie, like it happens. You're absolutely right. And they are just people. So I have to remind myself that, right? Cause sometimes we forget. However, because I worked at a community foundation, I was able, and I worked in communications, I was in contact with, people that are living without homes. And then I got to work with people that were, almost billionaires, to say, like people with like $100 million net worth. And so, and I remember being really nervous when I was going to photograph my first millionaire, right? And then somebody said, they're just people. And I'm like, oh, yeah, like they eat like me, they breathe like me, so they shower. I mean, I'm hoping, right? So like me. And so that's, you got to remind yourself that. And also, just like find those tools that are going to work for you, that are going to bring you back to who you are. And who you are is like thriving and beautiful and talented, right? And so then you can keep going.
I really love that because I use a success list. So I write it down and then I'll read it in those moments. Like, no, I'm Alea freaking Harris. I got this. We're so focused often on vision boards, especially at the time of this recording. It's November, people getting, towards the end of the year. And then we're going to start up with that whole new year, new me situation. We're making our vision boards for the next year, right? Which I love. I'm a big proponent of vision boards. But we often don't make manifested boards, right? And that's pretty much what your little folder on your phone is. These are the things that you've manifested for yourself. These are the photos you've taken. They encapsulate your level of skill that you've manifested yourself, the relationships that you've built, the rooms that you've been in. And I think people discount the importance of looking backwards, because often people look back like, oh, I'm going to leave that limiting belief there. I'm going to leave that pain there. I'm going to leave that hurt there. Yes, leave that there, but bring forward all of the rest of the goodness that you are, because it's that past track record of success that allows you to build trust with yourself that you can do it again. Because otherwise you're just like a stranger to yourself. Who is this woman, Flor Blake, and what has she done? I don't really know her like that. I mean, somebody told her that she could take a picture with this camera for this celebrity, but I don't know. I don't know, man, who is she and what has she done for me lately? And then you whip out your folder and you're like, well, actually, I've done quite a lot. But when you don't feel like Flor Blake, because you can't possibly, like, I don't feel like Alea Harris all the time. Sometimes I feel like no name shadow self. Sometimes I feel like my limiting character's name, who's Jessica Beautiful Unicorn Rabbit. That's for another episode. But when you don't feel like Flor Blake and the pictures on your phone and all your successes are not working, and you maybe go to somebody else for advice, what's been the worst advice in those types of moments that you've ever gotten?
So the worst advice that somebody has given me, I think, when I've been down, that is a great question. I feel like is to just ignore my feelings and like not address it and like just keep going. This whole thing, like when like when somebody, you know, when you're like really upset and you're like running around and somebody tells you, just calm down, relax. That's never the answer, right? Like you actually have to address what's happening at the moment. So whenever it's like I run for cover whenever somebody says, oh, just ignore that. It's like, oh my God, that's like nothing. No, there's a reason why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. And there is, and you got to validate who you are and what you're feeling, right? And so whenever somebody like that's like the worst. Like if somebody tells me, just ignore it, just keep going, fake it till you make it. No, we're making it while we are making it, right? Like we're not faking anything. Like maybe fake the confidence a little bit, but you don't fake the skills, you don't fake the like your attitude. Like no, like you just have to keep going and find yourself, right? But whenever I am feeling like not like myself, like you said, and I'm feeling down, and somebody says just ignore it, like that's the worst. However, on the other side of that is like if I've tried everything that I said, like if I've tried my folder, if I tried my affirmations, my meditation, then I tap out. Like, and it's okay. Like you have to know, okay, I don't think this is the day for me to be out in the world doing my thing. It may be that I need to, I mean, some days you can do that because you do have to go to work. And, you know, the type of work that I do requires a lot of planning. So hopefully I'm not feeling not like myself on those days. But the days that I am able to just tap out and like go to my bed and like put the covers on and like turn on the AC, that's what I'm going to do. Because we have to allow ourselves to feel what we feel and let it pass and then process it, right? Because going with the flow and like without stopping to think like why it's this happening, and then once you find out what happens, then address it, then you are just doomed for failure because then you're gonna end up there again, right? Like quick there, and then you don't know, and you don't know what you can do to get out of it, right? So I hope that I answer your question.
You most definitely answered my question. And I think we've all had those under the cover air conditioning on moments. Mine probably involved some type of snack.
Oh, for sure.
As well, yes. But usually those moments are part of some grander story, right? So can you tell me what was one of the grand stories in your life? What was one of the most pivotal moments in your life, a moment of rebirth? And then how did you manage that transition in addition to being under the covers with the with the air conditioning? And what did you learn? And how are you better now on the other side?
You know, thankfully, I've had a couple of those, but the most recent one was at the pandemic. Like when we were locked down, that was rough. That was, and when you mentioned rebirth, that's what comes to mind, right? Because so if you haven't noticed, beautiful people, I'm an extrovert. And so being locked down was like taking the sun out of of your plants, like away from your plants. So that was like, I felt myself like just fading, and it was really tough. And I feel like I hit rock bottom and I didn't know what to do with myself. I still had a full-time job at that moment that we were able to, work virtually. But everything else, like all my interactions, everything that I do, like all of my photography clients were gone. And we just, I'm sure that like we just didn't know what was going to happen. So that was really tough. And at that moment of complete darkness, I feel, in my life, I decided to look for help. Like, so I got a therapist and I got a coach, a life coach. And so that combination, and obviously the support of my amazing wife and my friends, but that combination of that work, by the time that and I don't want to say like, oh, it only took 6 months. No, like I'm still seeing my therapist, right? But that moment was pivotal for me, because then once I got out of it and I started implementing everything that I learned in therapy and from my coach, I was able to rebuild my life the way that I wanted, right? And the way that, and I was able to see what was going to be possible. And that's where I am now. So, because at that moment in 2020, by the time that it was like early 2021, I had quit my job, my full-time job, and I dedicated myself to being a full-time celebrity and personal branding photographer. And, and I guess I was a little scared, but I wasn't, because I feel like I had addressed every fear that came up during therapy or during my coaching sessions, right? So, so that was pivotal, and that's what created the person that I am right now. And I'm still, I'm still going. I'm still having epiphanies and things like that. But that was the last one. And I feel like the one before that was when I finally decided that I was going to become a photographer and I was going to try it out, right? But it was really, I guess, refreshing to give birth to this new person that was capable of following her dreams in a fearless way, because I had addressed those already. So that's one of those moments.
So connect the dots for us between how did being an extrovert that couldn't extrovert lead you to, what was the lesson that you learned in the middle, whether it was in therapy or not, that made you feel more empowered to be the photographer and the person that you are? How did that rebirth happen? What was that turning point or ideology or thought process?
One of the things that happened, like in the middle of the darkness, was like, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to do this. I took forever to do this on my own. And look, now I may die, basically, because that's like, were the thoughts at the moment of the lockdown, right? And by the time, so being an extrovert that can extrovert, it was hard. But also a lot of the joy in my life comes, yes, from my family, but it comes from my career. It comes from what I do. It comes from my connection with my clients. It comes specifically from the time that I am doing the photography, like creating with my client. And it's a collaboration, and not having that was very hard. And so because I didn't have a physical interaction with anybody, except for like the person that I live with, my wife, then and you have a husband, so obviously we love them, but at some point, like, I need to see other people.
At some point in time, it doesn't matter if you live in a mansion or a studio apartment; it's too small.
It's too small, right? So we had that, and then I feel like the moment that I stopped and thought, okay, I am enough. I am good enough. There will always be enough. The moment that I recognize that and stop and like anchor myself in that feeling, in those words, then I was able to start climbing back up and getting out of where I was. Because what is the thought that comes in a moment like that? The thought is, what I said, like, I'm never gonna be able to fulfill my dreams. I'm gonna die in this pandemic. And then obviously I didn't do this before because I'm not good enough. And so it was that moment of like, I don't know, I was probably 6 months after I started therapy that I'm like, no, like she's right. Like I am enough. I love myself. So, and I have to like show myself that I love myself. And how do you do that? Then you start like believing in the things that you make, then the things that you create, in the things that in the people, like trusting yourself in the people that you have around. Like there's a reason why these people are here with me, and it's because I am enough. Because they're not gonna love somebody that's not enough, right? Like it's not like I am deserving of love, and I am deserving of everything good in this world. And so I feel like the moment that I anchor myself in that I am enough, there is enough, and there will always be enough. Like that opened myself up for everything else and everything else that is right now in my life. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, you're doing great, Flor. You're doing great. I really appreciate that, because I think a lot of people need to hear that that there is enough, they are enough, there will always be enough, and then so they don't have to operate out of lack or fear or a sense of unworthiness. So that's awesome. When you did that, you gave a huge gift to yourself. But if you could ask the universe right now for a gift and be 100% sure that you would get it, what would you ask for?
Oof. That is a great question. And I've been thinking about this question. I hope that it is that I always know that I am enough, and that there will always be enough. And I say this because there are a million things that I could ask for, right? But when you are centered and when you are grounded in gratitude, and then everything is possible. And when we forget about being grateful, and it is when we forget what we do have, that then everything falls apart. Obviously health, like good health, right? To continue with my life's work. But I think that if we're thinking about something super practical. Right now, I'm in the middle of a remodel for a home that my wife and I are going to move in, and obviously, a million things have gone wrong. So, if I can ask the universe for something like, can we please just move in and not have anything else go wrong? Like everything is set, because all of the things have been happening, and like they found termite. I'm like, what? And so they had to do like a treatment. Now that we ordered these beautiful appliances, and when they got home, they were not beautiful, and so we had to send them back. So things like that happen, right? And so I'm like, if we can just like go without a hitch, like from now on, that would be amazing, and then we can move in and have dinner parties and be happy and have a happy life, right?
I appreciate all of that, from the health to the home to feeling good enough. I pray that God surrounds and fills and protects you with light, and that your requests have been heard, sending light for all of those wonderful things. Well, I know why I would choose you to take my photograph if I would ever be so blessed. But in your own words, why should someone choose you over your competition?
I feel that people that choose me tend to see that they are ready for a transformation. So if you are ready to transform yourself, ready to tap into your inner worth, ready to tap into your, enoughness, and and just see and stepping into your greatness and into your power, that's why you should choose me. Because I like this morning, I just saw, the Facebook memories are amazing. So this morning there was a post that was made last year by one of my clients, and she was just like talking about what an amazing transformational experience she had when she worked with me, right? And she's like, you should call her. She loves you, and I say that because I'm like, people hate without a reason. Why can't I love you without a reason? So I already love you. You're amazing and you're fantastic and you're perfect right now. You don't have to wait to lose 10 pounds. You don't have to wait to, to become younger, like to go to Botox or anything like that. You are perfect right now. So the reason why I would choose myself over somebody else is because I truly believe that you are gorgeous and that you're amazing and that you are powerful. And I'm ready to show you that's who you are.
I love that. Even having you say that to me, I was like, oh, I feel it. Like you can feel from the way you say it. And I was like, I am gorgeous, amazing, and powerful. And Flor sees that in me. So thank you. I can tell that that's something that you really do truly embody. So now that everybody knows why they should most definitely work with you, how do they do that? Where should they get in contact with you?
They can go to my website, florblakePhoto.com, on Instagram, Flor Blake everywhere. So you can contact me. We can have a brand evaluation call, and then we can go from there.
Fabulous. And of course, I will put all of those links in the show notes. Thank you, Flor, for having the time and the capacity to be on this call, on this podcast with us today. I know that I have learned a lot, and I appreciate you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me and for asking these amazing questions that I have never answered anywhere in public. So just so you know, so that's happened. I don't think I've ever talked
This is a Flor Blake exclusive, everybody.
I do love it. That's awesome. But it's true. It is an exclusive. So now you know. But I do, like, if I could say something, like, I would love for everybody to take a moment today and find a mirror and tell yourself that you are enough, that there will always be enough, and that there's always being enough. And you are enough, and you are gorgeous, and you are powerful, and you are ready to step into your power right now. And like, you don't need me, you don't need Alea, you just need yourself, and love on yourself, because I feel like we talk trash to each other, to ourselves too much. And no, let's talk gifts, let's talk flowers, let's talk beautiful things, right? So if I can leave you with something, I will leave you with that.
And I'm reiterating something that you already said. People don't need a reason to hate. Why do I need a reason to love? And that includes loving yourself.
Exactly. You are the first love of your life, and you should be. So hug yourself, give yourself gifts, buy yourself a cookie. You deserve it. Right?
I love it. I'm going to go and get myself a cookie. Thank you so much for being here, Flor. It was wonderful talking to you.
It was fantastic talking to you, Leah. Thank you so much.
Wow. That was awesome, right? It's very rare that we get to talk to someone who's reached heights in their career that most of us are trying to attain, and they still are able to tell us how they did it. We heard Flor talk about building relationships, meaningful relationships over the course of time. A lot of the times we don't build those relationships because we're like, well, why would I reach out? This feels random. But always remember what Flor said. People don't give reasons to hate other people. Why do I need a reason to love you? Reach out in love, build those relationships. Back to that friend, back to that client, back to that colleague that you haven't talked to in a long time. Give them a congratulations. Tell them that you've been thinking about them and why. Make sure that your journey is not a solo journey and that you bring others along with you, because you never know how those partnerships might impact you in the future. If you like this episode, please make sure to like and subscribe to stay tuned for even more from the Flourishing Entrepreneur podcast. In the meantime, you know it. My name is Alea Harris. This is the Flourishing Entrepreneur Podcast, and I am sending you lots of love, light, and abundance. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Flourishing Entrepreneur Podcast with Alea Harris. Vibing with what you hear? Leave a 5-star review to spread the love, and be sure to click subscribe. We wish you love, light, and abundance. See you next time.